Today, September 25th, Archangel Michael says, "This will happen in the next hour. Open this within the next 15 seconds, or it is September 25th. The hour is not random. It is marked. It is chosen. It is sealed in the courts of heaven. As the seconds slide across your screen and the minute hand tilts toward divine convergence, a holy shift is igniting in the unseen realm. This is not a vague moment. This is a divine interruption, a precise, sacred hour unlike the others that passed before. Time has cracked open. A hindu has turned. A divine window has opened, not in metaphor, but in reality. A gate of consequence has swung wide, and you have been summoned to it. You were not scrolling. You were being drawn. Archangel Michael, the great prince of the heavenly host, the warrior of divine order, the guardian of the faithful, has spoken. And when he speaks, destinies shift. He is not a messenger of comfort. He is a commander of consequence. His armor is forged in glory. His sword hums with holy fire. His voice tears through timelines and sets angels into motion. And today, that voice is sounding, not into the air, but into your spirit. It says, "This will happen in the next hour." There is no allegory here. This is not poetic hyperbole. This is a literal announcement from heaven's ranks. And it comes with a condition. Open this within the next 15 seconds or forfeit the alignment meant for you. That urgency is not to stir panic. It is a divine test, the kind that separates the watchers from the warriors, the casual from the called, the curious from the chosen. The command is a door disguised as a countdown. And you, beloved, have stepped through it. You are not late. You are not lost. You are right on heaven's schedule. The atmosphere around you may feel still, but do not be deceived. It is the stillness of held breath before the strike of lightning. It is the hush of heaven before divine motion. The world seems unchanged, but in the spirit realm, everything is leaning forward. Thrones are turning. Scrolls are unrolling. Swords are being drawn. You sense it, not with your eyes, but in the whisper behind your ribs, the weight that rests on your chest. That's not anxiety. That's recognition. Your spirit knows what your flesh cannot name. This word is not for the multitude. It is not for the lukewarm, the skeptic, the spiritual tourist. It is for the one who has been whispering in the dark, praying through clenched teeth, asking questions no one could answer, walking forward while bleeding within. It is for the one who stayed when leaving was easier, the one who obeyed when understanding was absent. It is for you. This moment is thick with decision. This is about your destiny, your assignment, your relationships, your calling, and your anointing. There is something in the balance that belongs to you, something that can either be delayed or delivered in this very hour. And whether you gain or forfeit it will be determined not by what you feel, but by how you respond. Within this stillness lies your instruction. In your obedience, your alignment. In your silence, your strategy. Heaven has sent a single, urgent summons. The time is real. The voice is authentic. The portal is open. Now, it hangs on your response. The next hour holds consequence, and the trumpet is sounding over your name. Will you answer in time? Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. Pause. Put your hand over your heart. Feel the rhythm beneath your chest. That beat is not just your pulse. It is a signal, a summons. A sacred countdown has begun. Listen to me now, not with your ears, but with your spirit. Archangel Michael speaks not to entertain, but to interrupt. He is not a gentle angel of comfort. He is the general of heaven's armies, the flame bearer, the slayer of serpents, the one whose voice is like rolling thunder, and whose silence is more terrifying than any roar. And today, September 25th, he has spoken. This will happen in the next hour. I metaphor. Lot of poetic line. A spiritual reality has entered the material world, and the clock is not slowing down. You, beloved soul, were meant to receive this message. You did not stumble here. You were summoned. You are not just listening, you have been positioned. This divine bulletin is not for everyone. It is not for the lukewarm, the distracted, the ones who confuse comfort for calling. No, this is for the remnant, the set apart, the obedient even when it hurts. Archangel Michael does not waste words, and when he moves, heaven shifts. You may have felt it before this moment, the sudden stillness, the odd pressure in the air, a heaviness you couldn't name, or a dream that lingered longer than it should have. Those were not coincidences. They were the drumbeats before the decree. Now, in this hour, this literal 60-minute chamber of time, a gate has been opened, and with it comes a pivot. For some, it will be a turning point toward breakthrough. For others, a sliding away into delay. There will be no middle ground. Michael's voice now echoes through the spirit realm, sword drawn, armor gleaming with celestial fire, eyes burning with divine strategy. Behind him, a choir sings in unison, not with melody but with militant harmony. A sound that can fracture fear and ignite courage in the bones of the willing. This hour, he says, is not to be watched. It is to be obeyed. So hear me. This message will feel like a strange interruption to your day, and that's exactly how heaven planned it. You weren't meant to stumble into this while scrolling. You were meant to be intercepted. You were going to give up today. You were going to let the silence swallow your prayer. You were about to stop contending. But Michael has arrived with a decree, and when he speaks, what was stagnant starts to move. Some of you feel betrayal gnawing at the edge of your joy. Some of you feel confusion choking your discernment. Some of you have enemies whose faces still smile, but their hearts have shifted. Michael sees. He is not confused. He is not late. He is exact. Now, in this holy pause, you must obey this first act of faith. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly, and say aloud, I hear you, Lord. I am present for the shift. Let that be your incense. Let that be your flag in the realm of spirit. Because yes, in the next hour, there will be movement around you. Some will shift closer, sensing the oil on your life. Others will draw away, confused or offended by your elevation. Do not be surprised. Do not explain. Do not water down your anointing to ease their insecurity. This hour is not about being understood, it's about being aligned. And Archangel Michael does not linger. He moves. Now. He speaks. Now. He warns. Now. He protects. Now. If you miss it, it does not repeat. Stay with me. Do not click away. Do not scroll. Do not delay. Because what follows in this prophetic message will reveal what has been hidden, disrupt what had been stagnant, and activate what has been asleep in you for too long. Stay. Listen. Line. The hour is now. Type "I am anointed" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. You felt it, haven't you? The strange chill that comes when the room is full, but you suddenly feel alone. The shift in someone's tone, the pause in their response, the delay in their message. Something around you has changed, and your spirit has already noticed, even if your mind has tried to explain it away. This is not paranoia. This is not drama. This is the manifestation of invisible movements, whispers behind doors, thoughts behind smiles, spirits behind actions. There has been a stirring in the unseen realm, and now it is brushing against the edges of your reality. And the Spirit, Archangel Michael, shows me corridors filled with silent watchers, familiar faces with unfamiliar motives. They linger behind conversations. They listen without speaking. Their presence is wrapped in politeness, but their posture is guarded. You have noticed it. The look that lingers too long, the conversation that quickly dies when you enter the room, the sudden forgetfulness of your name from the one who once praised you publicly. These are not coincidences. They are spiritual signals that something beneath the surface is grinding against your purpose. Why did the door close when you were still in the room? Why did their laughter stop when you stepped into view? Why did your messages start going unanswered? These are not small things. They are spiritual indicators. Heaven reveals the early symptoms of betrayal before the actual blow ever lands. Emotional unrest, confusion, dreams that stir anxiety, moments of isolation. These are not signs of weakness. These are proof of your prophetic wiring. Your spirit is picking up the friction, and heaven wants you to pay attention. Betrayal rarely arrives with a trumpet. It comes disguised, and a delayed reply, in the slight shift of an old friend's energy, in the trusted voice that suddenly goes silent when your name is mentioned. Someone has already felt threatened by what's forming around you. They sense the favor even before it fully falls. They see the mantle, even if they pretend they don't. And their heart, once aligned, is now misfiring with comparison. There are people in your life who know something is changing, but they don't know what. They feel it in your presence. They sense the movement around your name. They don't have language for it, so they invent narratives to feel secure. Do not let their confusion become your crisis. Heaven is not confused. Archangel Michael is not caught off guard. This discomfort is not a punishment. It is a spiritual clarifier. A sword has entered the room, and it is dividing intention from allegiance. You're being watched, not just in the natural but in the spiritual. But hear this clearly. The watching is not a threat. It is a confirmation. Hell only monitors what it fears. What you're feeling right now, the restlessness, the second-guessing, the tension in your spirit, it's not weakness. It's the tremor of an impending shift. God is showing you where to look, who to notice, and where not to pour your energy. Every cold glance, every unanswered call, every accidental exclusion, they are heaven's way of redirecting your attention. Let me give you a picture. There is a person in your life, perhaps a partner, perhaps a friend, maybe even a colleague. They recently delayed something without explanation. A file was not sent. A conversation was postponed. A meeting was conveniently missed. These aren't random lapses. They are moments pregnant with meaning. Heaven is allowing minor fractures to appear so you can see the fault lines before the quake. Pay attention. Do not panic. The confusion you feel is not a sign of loss. It is the birth pang of clarity. The inner conflict, the swirling thoughts, the urge to confront, all of it is part of the refinement. You are standing in a thin space between exposure and elevation. The divine does not remove people suddenly. It reveals them slowly. And in this hour, that revealing has begun. You can either allow suspicion to poison you, or you can let stillness preserve you. That is your test. Do not confront prematurely. Do not accuse emotionally. Let the Spirit of God show you who is still aligned and who is not. Be still. Be observant. And above all, be obedient. Your silence is your strength right now. Your peace is your warfare. The next time you feel that strange weight in the air, do not dismiss it. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Ask heaven, what are you showing me right now? The answer may not come through words, it may come through revelation. You will either be crushed by suspicion or refined by it. Choose stillness. Choose discernment. Choose the way of the Spirit. Type "I will stay still" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7788 is now hovering over your mind. This moment is holy. If you felt the fire in these words, then you already know. This isn't just a message. It's a mantle being transferred. Every voice that carries prophetic weight must also carry responsibility. And today, you can help us carry this to others. When you sow into this word, through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you're not giving to a channel, you're fueling heaven's voice through digital fire. God is saying, I will pour out over those who pour into my word. Just as the widow's oil multiplied, so your seed will unlock overflow, not just for you, but for souls you may never meet. I've been obedient to speak. Will you be obedient to send it further? The link to give through PayPal is in the video description. Move now. The field is open. The harvest is hungry. The window is holy. Bless those who bless the flow. Seal it with sacrifice. Speak life through giving. Give like you believe. Now move, and heaven will move with you. What looks like conflict in the natural realm is, in fact, strategy in the supernatural. What appears to be petty drama, shifting relationships, sudden opposition, or unexplainable resistance is not simply emotional warfare. It is heaven's intelligence operation. There is fire around you, yes, but this fire has not come to consume. It has come to consecrate. You may feel like you are walking through misunderstanding, judgment, manipulation, or gossip. But the Spirit of God says, this is not an attack without purpose. This is a refining without apology. You are being purified, not punished. You are being separated from distraction, from emotional entanglement, and from the people who were secretly siphoning your strength. The fiery moments that surround you are not accidents. They are refining furnaces, carefully stoked by heaven's timing. Archangel Michael does not stand in the background while you suffer confusion. He is not an observer. He is a commander, orchestrating defenses even when you don't realize you're being targeted. There are heavenly cameras fixed on you, not to shame you, but to record your loyalty, to monitor your posture, to prepare your defense. You are not unnoticed. You are marked. You are watched by heaven, guarded by angels, and accompanied by a spiritual entourage whose movements are measured according to your obedience. This conflict you face, it didn't come because you're weak. It came because you're close. The closer you get to the breakthrough, the louder the enemy tries to get. And so, he deploys subtle disruption. He uses familiar faces, half-truths, and misinterpretations to destabilize your focus. But here is the secret. The very thing the enemy sends to shake you, God uses to shape you. You need to understand that your reaction determines your reward. When you panic, the enemy advances. When you remain grounded in obedience, heaven mobilizes. There is a spiritual law at play. React, and you lose position. Respond in stillness, and you gain ground. Every sigh of frustration, every moment of restraint, every unspoken rebuttal, it is counted as obedience. And obedience is currency in the spirit realm. You are not just in a fight. You are in a divine filtration process. What seems like personal betrayal is actually strategic pruning. Heaven is cutting away what cannot go where you are headed. You cannot carry dead weight into your next assignment. You cannot carry double-minded people into a season that demands clarity. So, the fire comes not to destroy but to divide. And what remains will be only what is destined to grow. The language of spiritual warfare must be reclaimed. This is not superstition. This is sovereignty. You are being taught how to resist without reacting, how to fast with your eyes, how to defend your mind without losing your joy. And Michael, the great defender, is issuing divine tactics. Fast for 1 hour from every voice but mine. Say nothing to defend yourself today. Let me speak for you. Retreat in silence, and let heaven advance on your behalf. These are not passive acts. These are prophetic positions of power. Your silence is a sword. Your restraint is a shield. Your private worship is a war cry. Heaven fights when you do not flinch. And though the pressure around you builds, though some are waiting for your collapse, though others misread your silence as defeat, understand this. You are standing in the center of a proving ground. This fire is not accidental. It is necessary. The questions in your head may be swirling. Why me? Why now? Why this? But the answer is not punishment. The answer is promotion. You are being trusted with fire because you will not misuse the flame. You are being trusted with resistance because heaven knows it cannot break you. Michael has drawn the line. Heaven has released the test. Now you must walk through it, not with anxiety, but with anointing. Listen well, beloved. The fire is not for your destruction. It is for your designation. You are being branded by the flame. And when you come through, you will not look like smoke. You will look like someone who has stood in the center of a storm and still chosen peace. You will emerge with discernment sharpened, authority activated, and vision cleansed. Stand where heaven placed you. Let Michael be your shield. Let this fire prove your foundation. Type "I am protected" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1717 now surrounds your territory. This is not a false alarm. This is not another vague impression or unconfirmed suspicion. This is a direct alert from the throne of heaven. Archangel Michael does not stir without cause, and when he speaks, what was hidden begins to tremble. Hear these words and mark them carefully. Within the next 72 hours, the pattern will intensify. What hath been circling will attempt to strike. What hath been watching from a distance will step closer. What hath been dormant will seek to interrupt. And yet, you are not unarmed. There is movement brewing in the unseen, and it is beginning to press against your natural reality. You will notice it in subtle shifts. A person will change their tone. A scheduled meeting will be abruptly canceled without cause. Someone will behave out of character. A short word, an odd delay, a sudden silence. These will seem like small inconveniences, but make no mistake, they are precursors to confrontation. Not every confrontation is a loud one. Some are strategic, silent, calculated, designed not to destroy but to destabilize. And this is what the enemy desires, to make you doubt yourself in the hour of confirmation. In the spirit, I see a name, its first letter significant, its presence familiar. This person, once aligned with your mission, now moves with divided intent. I see a place, a table, yes, but not of fellowship. A table of negotiations, of discussions where your name is mentioned but your presence is absent. This is the realm of subtle betrayal, of hidden agreements, of things orchestrated in shadows. But heaven is not in the dark. Heaven sees what you cannot. This is the warning. Do not ignore the signs. Do not dismiss the pressure as mere coincidence. Heaven is sounding the alarm with grace. You are not to respond with fear, but with foresight. Eye in your circle. Guard your plans. Record your words. Confirm every step. Do not be led by emotions. Be governed by discernment. The hour is far too costly for careless speech and casual exposure. Within these 72 hours, a shift will occur, and how you posture yourself in this first hour will determine what follows in the next 2 days. If you act impulsively, you may delay what is divinely set. If you fall into reaction, you may forfeit clarity. But if you stand in obedience, stillness, and spiritual alertness, you will rise with unshakable precision. There will be emails that carry a strange tone. A person from your past may suddenly reappear. A plan you thought was settled may begin to unravel. These are not random events. They are strategic manifestations of spiritual resistance. Do not engage them with panic. See them for what they are, mirrors of the war happening in the unseen. The enemy cannot touch your soul, so he attacks your schedule, your relationships, your trust, your clarity. And yet, heaven is not passive. Archangel Michael is already stationed. His sword is drawn. His watch is unbroken. But you must do your part. Do not over-explain your moves. Do not leak what should be sealed. Protect what is precious. Treat this moment as holy ground, not because of what you feel, but because of what is forming. There is an acceleration of confusion trying to rise, but heaven will counter with a sudden clarity. You may receive a word of knowledge from someone unexpected. You may feel a sharp inner knowing that interrupts your routine. Follow that voice. Lean into that promptu. Heaven is sending confirmations to guide your decisions, but you must choose stillness over struggle. Do not forget, this hour is the hinge. It is the turning point in your timeline. How you stand now determines the direction of the unfolding. Within 72 hours, doors will either open or shut. Opportunities will either bloom or fade. And it will not be based on favor alone. It will be based on how you move in this moment. See the signs. Honor the warnings. Posture your spirit in obedience. For the storm is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to reveal the strength of your roots. Some will be eroded. Others will be watered. What happens next depends entirely on what you choose to believe right now. Type "I am aware" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2929 is covering you now. Be still. That is not a suggestion. That is your instruction. In this prophetic hour, marked by confrontation, disruption, and exposure, the command is clear: be still, and heaven will fight when you do not move in fear. This is not about apathy. This is not about hiding. This is about spiritual positioning. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is warfare. It is the holy posture that allows angels to operate without interference. The moment you rush to defend yourself, you step out of formation. But when you choose silence, when you anchor yourself in trust, heaven deploys on your behalf. Archangel Michael is not pacing. He is not panicking. He is not watching events spiral. He is stationed, sword upright, stance firm, gaze locked onto the assignments against your life. He is heaven's shield and the commander of angelic strategy. And under his command, a heavenly perimeter hath been drawn around you. But listen closely, that protection requires your alignment. You cannot cry for covering while exposing your spirit to noise. You cannot call for divine strategy while entertaining confusion. Heaven's defense flows through obedience, not emotion. Now is the time to create a sacred pause. Step back from the noise, not because you are afraid, but because you are being recalibrated. This is not a time for public explanations. This is a time for private alignment. Withdraw, even for 15 minutes. Close the doors. Silence the devices. Mute the chaos. Not as a gesture of escape, but as an act of war. Heaven sees what you refuse to carry, and every surrendered burden becomes a signal, a flare in the spirit that summons angelic response. Listen deeply. Don't beg for signs. Ask for clarity, and clarity will come. The Spirit will whisper. It won't shout. It will not compete with the volume of your anxiety. You must still your soul. Breathe slowly. Ask the question, what is heaven doing right now? And then wait. In the waiting, instructions arrive. In the stillness, direction takes shape. The enemy thrives in noise. But heaven works in the whisper. Speak out loud, not long-winded prayers driven by desperation, but sharp, surgical declarations. Name your fear. Confront it with truth. Say this with your own voice. You who guard, stand now. I release what I cannot control. I agree with heaven's protection over my name, my timeline, and my territory. This is not performance. This is permission. When you speak, angels hear it as clearance to move. There will be things you need to observe in this hour. Details you would normally overlook, a shift in someone's tone, a sudden change in schedule, a strange delay that interrupts your day. These aren't minor. These are spiritual footnotes, left behind for your discernment. Keep your spirit alert. Record the details. Preserve the evidence. Heaven doesn't waste anything, and neither should you. The Spirit is training your sight, teaching you to see what others miss. And now, draw boundaries without guilt. Protect your atmosphere. It means limiting toxic conversations, avoiding impulsive responses, and guarding your peace with intensity. Do not let every voice into your ear gate. Do not scroll aimlessly through noise. Social media can become a trap of distortion when you are meant to be hearing from the throne. Fast with your attention. Feast on silence. Your clarity depends on what you refuse to entertain. Speak simple affirmations to your soul. Let them become anchors in the wind. Not by my strength, but by heaven's decree, I stand. Say it again. Let your body hear it. Let your environment come into submission under it. The power is not in the volume. The power is in the agreement. When your mouth agrees with God's word, protection becomes activated like a wall of fire. You must remember, silence is not surrender. It is sanctified strategy. It is not that you are doing nothing. It is that you are doing what heaven instructed. The world may mock your restraint. Let them. The world may question your delay. Let them. They do not understand that stillness is your sword. And in this hour, stillness is what will keep you inside the perimeter of angelic warfare. Now hear this final instruction from the throne. It is permitted to rest under the watchful hands of Michael. You are not alone. You are under escort. Type "I am guarded" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3030 now seals your atmosphere. Now that you have stood through the silence, passed through the fire, and endured the watching eyes of those who misunderstood your assignment, the tone must shift. Heaven does not keep you in survival. Heaven brings you into strength. The message changes now, not because the battle is over, but because you are being reminded who you are inside the battle. You were never called to merely endure. You were called to dominate the moment with spiritual authority. You are not what the resistance tried to reduce you to. You are not the label they spoke in your absence. You are not the delay you experienced with the betrayal you barely survived. You are the anointed of the Lord, marked in the Spirit before you were ever recognized in the flesh. They saw your weakness. Heaven sees your weight. They remembered your failure. Heaven remembers your fight. And Archangel Michael stands now not just as your protector, but as the herald of your release into strength. This is the hour where heaven pulls back the curtain and reveals what has been forming beneath the pressure. Like wings breaking free from the shell, like fire rising from hidden embers, your empowerment is not coming. It has already been activated. You didn't just survive this warfare. You were trained by it. Every attack taught your spirit how to hear more sharply, how to move with more precision, how to respond with more control. You didn't come out burned. You came out branded. Heaven now speaks not just over your safety, but over your status. You are no longer to see yourself as vulnerable, as expendable, as merely holding on. No. You are rising. You are not standing in the middle of warfare for survival's sake. You are standing because you have been entrusted with influence, and heaven is preparing to release your name into new realms. Realms where your voice carries authority, where your presence shifts atmospheres. It is time to reframe your story. The betrayal was not your breaking. It was your birthing. The silence was not absence. It was strategy. The opposition was not a rejection. It was a redirection. You have been walking through divine detours, not punishment but positioning. And now, everything is beginning to realign. Doors that were shut out of season are now beginning to unlock. The favor you carried in silence is about to become the favor that speaks publicly. So what must you do now? Rise differently. Speak with intention. Walk like someone who carries fire in their steps. You are no longer just reacting to what happens around you. You are now the one who sets things in motion. Begin your mornings with a decree, not just a devotion. Speak life with way. Say this aloud. I will rise. I will build. I will speak when called. I will move when sent. Write this on paper. Place it near your door. Rehearse it until your atmosphere begins to respond. Take action that reflects your elevation. Start the thing you've been delaying. Submit the application. Return the call. Walk into the room as if heaven has already assigned angels to walk ahead of you, because it has. This is not emotional hype. This is prophetic reality. Heaven does not give you peace just to keep you calm. Heaven gives you peace to launch you with precision. And now, let this image rest in your spirit. A seed in the ground, pressed down by cold earth, unseen by the world, yet growing with violent force beneath the surface. That seed is you. And this pressure, it was your permission to sprout. You have been growing in silence, but your roots are deep. Now the soil will break, and the sun will witness what the Spirit already knew. Walk forward now with a new awareness. Your voice carries influence. Your decisions create ripple effects. Your silence shifts the atmosphere. And your obedience, it has become the signal for the next chapter of heaven's plan in your life. You will walk where you were once what? Your footsteps will call others to rise. This is your hour. Walk in it. Type I am empowered in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 4141 is igniting your steps. This moment was never just about warfare. It was never only about endurance. It was never about surviving the attack or weathering the betrayal. It was always about unlocking something hidden, a divine assignment, a concealed purpose, a sacred scroll that could only be opened after obedience had been proven under pressure. Now, in this prophetic hour, heaven begins to reveal the reason behind your resistance. What you thought was a punishment has been a preparation. What you assumed was silence had been strategy. And now, the veil is lifting. Archangel Michael has stood watch over the gates of revelation, and the timing has now aligned. You were never being delayed. You were being dislodged from old ways of thinking, from broken alignments, from relationships that could not contain your next chapter. You were being freed from attachments that looked good in one season, but would have sabotaged the next. And now, because you stayed, because you listened, because you obeyed even when it made no sense, heaven opens the scroll with your name on it. This is your confirmation. That strange inner pull, the dream that repeated itself, the sudden craving for stillness, the deepened discernment. These were not emotional fluctuations. These were signals from the throne. The trial refined you so that this moment of unlocking would not find you distracted, but prepared. You are being ushered into a season where influence will follow insight, where what you once whispered in secret will now be echoed in rooms you were never invited into before. Heaven has not forgotten the sacrifices made in silence, the sleepless nights, the self-restraint when your flesh screamed to retaliate, the prayers no one heard but God. These were recorded in the scroll of remembrance, and that scroll has now reached its appointed time. The ledger is being balanced. You will see restoration, not just in emotion, but in structure. Relationships that were fractured by lies will be mended by divine exposure. Opportunities that passed you by will now return with interest. The blessing was never denied. It was being preserved for the right time. In the days to come, you will notice signs. Unlikely voices will speak favor over you. Delays will break suddenly. There will be one message, one call, one opportunity that breaks the stagnancy and signals heaven's green light. Expect it. Prepare for it. But do not idolize it. A blessing is not the goal. The assignment is. And this revelation, this unlocking, is not to make you feel elevated, but to position you to influence with purity. Hear this now. This revelation is both correction and coronation. It comes to remove the residue of past cycles and place a new mantle on your life. You will walk differently, speak differently, move differently. People will notice the change, but what they don't see is what was required to carry it. They see the result, but they will never fully grasp the price of your obedience. That is why heaven is trusting you with this revelation, because you will steward it, not exploit it. Let this prophetic image be sealed in your spirit. A crown returned to its rightful head, a seat once vacated now filled, a table once set for others now assigned to you. These are not just metaphors. They are markers of fulfilled prophecy, the outcome of divine timing intersecting with your alignment. Within days, the first fruit will appear. Within months, the fullness will begin to mature. You are not waiting anymore. You are now walking in the beginning of fulfillment. So receive this revelation not because you were perfect, but because heaven is faithful. Heaven saw you. Michael shielded you. And now the Lord releases what was locked, hidden, and delayed, because the test has passed, and the season has turned. Type "I receive the revelation" in the comments if this word speaks to you. Blessing code 5151 now rests upon your assignment. What you just heard was not just prophecy, it was permission. Permission to rise, to walk, to influence, and to carry this fire into others. But listen, every fire must be fueled. And if this word lit something in your spirit, then take a step and sow into the movement. When you give, through super thanks, channel membership, or directly through PayPal, you don't just support content. You commission a spiritual broadcast. Heaven is looking for givers who give not from emotion, but from obedience. Just like the oil in the widow's jar, your giving creates space for more. Not just for you, but for the thousands who will hear this word next. I'm inviting you to be a part of the echo, to help this message break borders, to push this fire further. The PayPal link is in the description, and your seed carries assignment. God says, I am multiplying what you release with intention. Give now, and watch what opens. Let your offering become prophecy fulfilled in someone else's life. Now rise, speak, and send the word forward. This is the part where prophecy meets participation. This is not where you wait. This is where you move. Revelation has arrived. The scroll has been unsealed. The hour has been marked, and the windows above you have opened. What happens next to that rest in the hands of others? It rests in yours. Destiny is not just delivered. It must be activated. And in this very moment, heaven is watching to see if you will agree with what has been spoken, or if you will shrink back into cycles of hesitation. What has been declared over you in the Spirit is real, is living, is sharp. And now, your alignment is what either calls it forth or causes it to linger just beyond reach. Archangel Michael has not only protected your process, he is now standing at your side, waiting to enforce what your mouth declares. You must speak. You must step. You must agree with heaven's timeline. Your silence will delay what your obedience is meant to release. This is your activation hour. You are not being asked to perform. You are being invited to position. Take one bold step, not all the steps, just the next one. Write the vision down. Speak the decree aloud. Make the call you've been postponing. Forgive the one who wounded you. Accept the opportunity you've been afraid of. Each act of obedience is a key, and as you move, the locks begin to break open. Start with your mouth. The power of life and death is not poetic language, it is a spiritual law. Your voice has been silenced for too long by fear, fatigue, confusion, and intimidation. But now, your voice is a weapon, and heaven is waiting to echo what you release in faith. Say it. I align with what heaven has spoken. I refuse the old narrative. I step into what hath been assigned to me. I will not delay. I will not draw back. I am here, and I am ready. This is not about performance. This is about permission. You are giving God permission to move through you, to manifest the promise, to bring what was hidden into form, and that permission is expressed through obedience. Heaven does not require your perfection. It requires your agreement. That agreement must show up in how you move, how you speak, and how you believe. Let me give you a sacred challenge. For the next 7 days, wake up and speak for 60 seconds, a declaration that forces your atmosphere to shift. Keep it simple. Keep it bold. Keep it consistent. Then take one visible step each day, even if small, an action that proves your spirit is no longer passive. Submit that application. Reopen the project. Reconnect with the intercessor. Choose obedience even when it's inconvenient. Gear up the symbol of your past fear. You know exactly what it is. The journal entry, the email draft, the picture, the unanswered text thread, the thing that kept you bound in loops. Gear it up. Delete it. Release it. Let the sound of that separation mark your turning point. That action becomes your altar, and heaven sees it. Destiny is not unlocked with emotion. It is activated by obedience. And right now, the Spirit is asking you to come into divine alignment, not through grand gestures, but through daily, deliberate faithfulness. When you keep your word, when you show up in the room, when you walk with integrity, these are not just moral decisions. They are prophetic declarations in motion. Every small step is currency in the realm of fulfillment. This is the final stretch before the manifestation. Don't abort it by inaction. Don't delay it with doubt. Don't cancel it with self-pity. You are not who you used to be. The fire changed you. The stillness branded you. The revelation called you. And now, destiny waits for your yes. Say it. Live it. Become it. Type ISAY yes to destiny in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8181 is now active over your next step. While you rest, heaven is working. While you pray, heaven is recording. While you cry in silence, heaven gathers every tear like liquid currency. There is a realm, invisible to the eye but undeniable in presence, where angels move in silence, where decrees are exchanged, where justice is negotiated not with emotion, but with eternal weight. The Spirit of the living God is overseeing an exchange in your favor. And right now, it is unfolding, even as your natural circumstances remain still. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. In the courts of heaven, your name has been read aloud. There is documentation attached to you, not of your failures, but of your faithfulness. And Michael, the Archangel of war and authority, stands as both witness and advocate. He has carried your name into the heavenly courtrooms, and he has laid before the judge of all a record of your loyalty in the fire. A ledger once used to accuse you has now been overwritten with your surrender. The exchange is taking place, and it is quiet, but it is holy. In the Spirit, I see tables being turned over, ledgers rebalanced. For every slander spoken over your name, heaven is returning favor. For every resource withheld, heaven is assigning new provision. For every door man shut with pride, heaven is releasing double doors with divine keys. This is not fantasy. This is the divine law of restoration, and it is active right now. But not in the spotlight. In secret. Heaven always moves first in silence before manifestation arrives in sound. There are angels reviewing timelines. There are scrolls being measured against obedience. There are promises that were delayed, not denied, and now, because the test has been passed, the delays are being recalculated and reassigned. Every year you thought was wasted is being returned with acceleration. You didn't miss it. You didn't lose it. You were being preserved for a moment such as this. You were being prepared while the stage was still being set. I want you to imagine it, not to entertain your mind, but to train your spirit. Imagine a heavenly clerk, robed in fire and light, writing your name onto a scroll labeled Restoration in Full. Hear the sound of the seal being pressed into wax. That is your covenant. Not made with man, but with heaven itself. You may not see it yet, but the moment you agreed with the fire, the moment you said yes to the process, a trade was initiated. What was taken from you is being returned. What was stolen is being multiplied. What was mocked is becoming your mantle. and the strange stillness you feel right now, the tension between expectation and confusion, that is the evidence of the exchange in motion. Heaven does not announce its strategies to man. It completes the work in silence and releases the results in surprise. Let this truth baptize your perspective. Heaven is not reactionary. Heaven is preemptive. God already prepared this recompense before your trial even began. He knew who would turn. He knew what would break. He knew what would be said. And he designed a counter-strategy that does not just vindicate you, it elevates you. What with a spiritual assassination attempt has become a spiritual inheritance appointment. And now, you wait. But you wait with expectation. You wait as one who knows that angels have already moved, that negotiations are already complete, that the signatures have been made. The papers are filed in glory. You're not waiting for God to decide. You're waiting for what He's already decided to reach the right time on the clock of destiny. So rest, but rest with faith. Watch, but watch with confidence. Move slowly, but move with fire. You are not being ignored. You are being established. You are not being held back. You are being carried forward by invisible hands that have written your name into the records of reversal. Type "I am in divine exchange" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9999 is now completing what was delayed. Heaven does not forget. Justice is not delayed. It is refined. And now, at this stage in your journey, a decree has gone out across the spirit realm. Divine justice is in motion. The same eyes that watched you weep in silence now witness the scroll of reversal being unsealed. What they tried to use to bury you, God is now using to build you. The trap they set will now become the table set before you, and those who plotted your delay will now see the evidence of your elevation. Let it be known in this hour, not to your ego, but to your spirit, that the season of imbalance is coming to a close. Where you sowed in tears, you will now reap in authority. Where you were misunderstood, you will now be seen through heaven's lens. Where slander tried to infect your name, heaven is washing you in honor. This is not karma. This is covenant. God is not reacting to what happened. He's been orchestrating justice from the very beginning. And Archangel Michael has stood watch, ensuring that not a single weapon formed against you was allowed to prosper without consequence. The reversal will not always look dramatic, but it will be undeniable. You will begin to notice it in the language of your enemies. Your tone will shift. Your narrative will falter. Some will go silent, not out of peace, but out of confusion, because the outcome they predicted for you is not the one heaven delivered. You will see the reversal in sudden favor, in back pay restoration, in delayed opportunities returning without explanation. Where once there was resistance, now there will be release. Understand this. Reversal is not just about vindication. It's about realignment. God is not interested in proving your haters wrong. He is interested in proving himself faithful to those who stood the test. And you, beloved, stood. Even when weary. Even when forgotten. Even when misunderstood. You remain positioned. That posture has been weighing in the scales of heaven, and the scales are now tipping. What does reversal look like? It looks like heartbreak turning into platform. It looks like slander being converted into testimony. It looks like rejection becoming redirection into rooms you never had the credentials to enter. It looks like what they used to break you becoming the very thing God uses to bless you. not out of revenge, not out of spite, but out of righteous recompense. Because the judge of heaven is holy, and he never lets his servants go unpaid. You will know the justice of God when those who misused your trust start unraveling without your help. You will know it when the very thing that was blocked begins to flow without explanation. You will know it when the offer comes, not because you chased it, but because heaven orchestrated it. This is not about striving. This is about standing. This is not about begging. This is about receiving with clean hands and a yielded heart. Heaven is not just restoring. Heaven is elevating. You will look around and not recognize how far you've come. You will feel unworthy, and that humility is exactly why God is trusting you with the outcome. Because the justice you carry will not be used to boast. It will be used to build altars of worship, to lead others into their own process, to testify that God really does restore what was lost, and sometimes He even restores it better than it was before. Now hear this final prophetic utterance for this section. What they did will return to them tenfold, but your gain will be integrity, elevation, and the authority to walk unshaken. You will not gloat. You will not retaliate. You will rise with quiet power and holy confidence. Favor will find you. Restoration will be visible. Justice will be complete. Type "My justice is here" in the comments if this word is for you. Blessing code 6262 is now releasing multiplied restoration. The hour has spoken. The scroll has been read. The angelic host has wooed. And the words from Archangel Michael have been sounded like a trumpet over your life. This was not symbolic. This was not poetic. This was a divine summons, and you heard it. You didn't miss it. You didn't scroll past it. You opened it, in obedience, in hunger, in faith, and that decision has unlocked a new timeline in the Spirit. This message began as a warning, but it ends as ascending. From the call to stillness, to the exposure of betrayal, from the refining of the fire, to the release of prophetic revelation, everything was designed for your awakening. Heaven did not deliver this word to excite your emotions. Heaven released it to commission your next assignment. You are no longer the one who waits to be seen. You are now the one who carries the word, the authority, the clarity, and the charge to move forward with fire and precision. Now, hear the final blessing over your name. May Michael, the Prince of War and Guardian of the Called, surround your dwelling with flaming defense. May your nights be filled with clarity and your days with divine strategy. May your enemies be scattered, your accusers silenced, and your steps lit with the glow of righteous favor. May confusion depart, may alignment increase, and may heaven's voice grow louder than every voice of fear. Say this aloud: I am sealed. I am seen. I am sent. Let that be your decree in this new hour. Not because you feel ready, but because heaven has said you are. Not because you have all the answers, but because you carried the evidence of obedience. That is what heaven honors. Not the loudest, not the flashiest, but the faithful. You will walk out of this hour with clarity. You will remember what was said in this message. You will feel it in your bones, echoing like thunder under your skin. You will carry it into conversations, into meetings, into decisions, and it will protect you like armor and guide you like compass. What happens from here is not random. It is activation. From this moment, your life steps into alignment with the new pattern heaven has assigned. You were not called to survive another year of wandering. You were chosen to walk forward in fire, in truth, in authority, and in rest. So now, go. Move with courage. Keep your posture low and your spirit high. Guard your heart, but don't close it. Speak with grace, but do not shrink. And most of all, remember the sound of this hour. It was heaven calling your name. Go now under Michael's watch. Guard your peace. And when the hour breaks, stand and receive. Type I am sent in the comments to seal this word. Blessing code 7777 has now marked your next chapter. This word was not entertainment. It was a divine instruction, a blueprint from heaven delivered through obedience and fire. And now, you have a chance to help us carry this same message into the lives of others who are waiting to hear a word from God. You're not giving to a platform. You're sowing into purpose. When you give through super thanks, membership, or directly through PayPal in the video description, you're not just blessing a voice. You're funding a heavenly sound wave that brings breakthrough across borders and timelines. The same God who said, "Give, and it shall be given unto you," is the same God who takes your seed and turns it into soul-saving harvest. Your gift is not small. It is sacred. And right now, it becomes a prophetic agreement that says, "God, I believe in this word, and I send it further." This is your moment to fuel the move. Bless the stream that just watered your soul. Let heaven multiply your obedience. Give boldly and watch what unlocks. The hour has moved. Let your seed move with it.